Hi, this is Becky with Icing on Top Becky's Cakes, and today we're using acrylic discs to smooth our cakes. It's a different method than the other ones that you've seen me do. I'm also going to use an 8-inch cardboard cake circle to go with my 8.5-inch acrylic rounds. So you're going to see how this works together. See, there's a little hole that you can line up if you choose to use the holes. I'm just going to show you them lined up, but I'm not actually going to use these holes today. But I'll just show you the way I do it. But there are many different ways to use these acrylic discs. Then I have a non-slip pad right here to place my acrylic discs on so that it doesn't slide around. You want to make sure there's no overhang and that it's not sticking out. And here I have some press and seal. There are different things that you can put on your cake rounds to keep it from sticking to your cake. You can cut a circle in wax paper and attach it, adhere it to your cake circle with a little bit of buttercream and use that. But I'm just going to use the press and seal because it's really fast and it's easy to get off when you're done. So those are the two reasons why I use this. So I'm just going to pull it tight and I'm going to press it right on so that it stays right where I want it to. And that the reason you want to kind of pull out as you press it on top is because you want to make sure there's no bubbles where the cake and the frosting are going to be. So I'm just going to keep pulling and stick this here. Now you may have seen in the past when I've smoothed cakes, I have the one that I level and how to release it from the pan easily and how to just frost it normally with a bench scraper. So I have that tutorial if you're not wanting to see acrylic rounds or if you don't have access to acrylic rounds. And then there's also the other one that I did, the birch tree wedding cake. That one I did the upside down flip method, which is actually a lot of fun, and I like that method a lot, especially if you do not have acrylic rounds. But this tutorial, we're showing you how to use the acrylic rounds. And I actually really love the acrylic rounds because for someone who really likes to get frosting everywhere, it's great. And I'm not neat when I'm in the middle of cake decorating, so there's usually frosting everywhere. And so the acrylic rounds are really good for someone who's putting a bunch of frosting on and then scraping it off and wanting it to be nice and neat when I'm done. And yeah, some people are really neat about how they put it on, but I just go headlong into it. Frosting everywhere. So anyway, so here is the non-slip pad. We're going to put the acrylic disc on that so that it doesn't slide around. I'm going to use a little bit of buttercream on that acrylic disc just to stick my cake board where I want it to be, and then I'll be able to easily lift it off later. Whereas if I put tape and stuff, it's a little harder for me to dig under the tape to lift the cake off later, and you really don't want to be digging around much when you have a fully frosted cake. So I'm just going to just use buttercream. That's a lot easier to lift off. I'm going to press this right so that it's in the middle, and it's really nice that these acrylic rounds actually have a little guideline for people like me who want to be able to see to make sure it's in the middle and not just kind of guess. So that's really great for that. Then I'm going to place some buttercream down before I put my cake on there so that it sticks my cake right where I want it. And I'm going to just go ahead and stick the first layer right there. And then we'll put that one right there, and then we're going to add our buttercream to the middle layer and then just smooth it around and stick the next layer on top of that. Then I'm taking the acrylic disc with the press and seal on the smooth side. I'm going to first put frosting right on the press and seal and acrylic disc, and I'm going to smooth it with my offset spatula, pressing it back and forth with my offset spatula to make sure I work out any bubbles that are going to be coming through on the other side. So because we're not doing the upside down flip method, I'm putting it first on the acrylic disc like this so that you won't get those bubbles that'll come through on the other side. So I'm going to smooth this out as much on the acrylic disc, and then I'm also going to put buttercream on the cake itself. But this way I want to make sure that the top is going to look really smooth without any bubbles and indents on it. So we're just going to go ahead, put this all over the acrylic disc with the press and seal. Then we're going to go ahead and smooth a whole bunch of buttercream on the top. I always put on plenty, so I want to make sure that it's got plenty of room for the buttercream, because it would be awful to get through all of this and then have some cake show through and you're like, what? So no, we're going to put on a nice hefty layer of buttercream there. Then we're going to take our acrylic round with the buttercream and we're going to push the buttercream side down right. Try to line it up as much as possible before pressing. So I'm going to get my bench scraper and line up, just hold it flat at a 90-degree angle with the acrylic rounds and kind of move the round over a little bit if I need to before pressing this down so that it seals. Just going all the way around and making sure that it lines up both acrylic rounds here. Once it's lined up, we're gonna get our level out and then we can just kind of press down on whichever side we need to make sure that it's level both ways. And there it's level, but I see there's a gap here, so I'm gonna press that down a little more. Now to keep that disc from sliding around while we put buttercream everywhere, we're gonna first put the buttercream right up here. So we're just gonna put buttercream on our offset spatula and I'm kind of pushing it up and in so it gets right in that crack so that it kind of glues that acrylic board right where we want it. Now I had mentioned before about the holes and how some people put a wooden dowel through the top and then it goes all the way down to the bottom. That's another method of keeping everything in place so that it doesn't wiggle back and forth. But to me, as long as you have the buttercream sealing the top like this, that really just keeps it where I need it to be. So that's good enough for me, so I don't even bother with the dowel right through the center of it. Now we continue this messy part that I was talking about, just scooping buttercream and sticking it all, just fill everything, really fill everything. Keep getting buttercream on there. Press it into between the acrylic rounds and just kind of squish it back and forth with your offset spatula, and that just gets all the bubbles out and gets it all buttercream all in where you want it to be. And if you want to know what kind of buttercream I'm using, I have put my buttercream recipe on my channel, so please check that out. This is a really great buttercream. It holds up really good during heat, the hot days and stuff. Doesn't melt quite as easily as buttercream that's actually made with butter. This is a mock buttercream. It's made with high ratio shortening. But does it still taste good? Oh, it tastes amazing. In fact, I get more compliments on this buttercream than on my buttercreams that are made with real butter. So this has really become my default because everybody loves the taste of this. I love the taste of this, and yeah, it's yummy, it's smooth, and it also pipes beautifully. So there's really not much not to love about this buttercream. Okay, as you can see, I've gotten out my bench scraper, and really you just line up the bench scraper at a 90-degree angle, and you make sure that you're touching both acrylic rounds as you scrape off the buttercream. So that really cleans up a lot of my mess here. So I really love the bench scraper. So we're just going to continue just scraping off the excess buttercream. Okay, next step is to fill in all the little holes. A lot of that's going to occur right around the top here, and then any of the little bubble areas, you can just take some buttercream and work it right into it. And then we're going to scrape one more time after we fill everything that we need filled. Okay, now that we're getting it pretty good and smooth, I'm going to go heat some water. And I'm gonna put some boiling water in a bowl, and I'm going to use that to try to get out, to smooth it just a little more than what we already have it. So let's put our bench scraper inside some nice hot boiling water, and then we're gonna wipe it off with a paper towel every time so we're not getting hot water all over our cake. We just want to make sure that our bench scraper is super hot. Then we're going to use our offset spatula, and we're just going to take this icing off the top so that we don't have a bunch of excess icing up here. Then we're just going to pop it in the fridge after we're done with all that, and we wanted to make sure that it's really firms up, so we're going to give it a couple hours, make sure it's completely firmed up before we try to pull this top off. Okay, so now that it's been in the fridge for a couple hours, we're first going to pull off the press and seal from the acrylic disc. So we're going to unwind all of that part first. Then I'm going to get my fingers under the acrylic disc, and I'm going to kind of slowly lift up the disc itself and take that off. And then I'm going to peel off the press and seal. Now I have a hot bowl of water standing by with my offset spatula to go over the top of this and smooth out anything that might have come up. So there we go. This is the quick way to use the acrylic disc to smooth out your buttercream. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.